soldiers. Many are called, few are chosen. Many are called, few are chosen. Ooh, yeah. Whoa. Ooh, yeah. Whoa. Gotta fight the right fight in this time, yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you ready to stand up and fight the right revolution? Are you ready to stand up and fight it just like soldiers? Many are called, few are chosen. Many are called, few are chosen. If you wanna live forever, you gotta love each other. Say you gotta live on forever, yeah. And love one another. Boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh. Gotta fight the right fight in this time. Whoa, boy. Oh, yeah. Living and loving and sharing and caring all you feel. Oh, yeah. A man is made according to his work, yeah. Oh, yeah. Say we gotta live on forever. Love each other. We gotta live on forever. And love one another. Oh, yeah. Living and loving and sharing and caring. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, yeah.
Alrighty there, ladies and gentlemen. How we doing? How we doing? Give me a 102 down in the listening lounge if y'all could hear me. A 102. I forgot to add myself. I was sitting there talking to myself for a minute. Drop me a 102 there. Hey, Zahara. Hey, Shar. What's going on with you? How y'all doing? How you doing? Can you hear me? All right, we got that one. We got that one. Thank you. Before we get started there, ladies and gentlemen, let me just go ahead and say straight off the bat, I wish harm to no one. What happened to, of course, you see what the subject's going to be. We're going to talk about Charlie Kirk here. I wish no harm to him, to that man. It's an unfortunate incident, but this is where we're at in the United States of America. That because someone, in this case, I want to say it was political discourse, but it's, as you'll see, folks, it's going to run a little deeper than that. So my condolences go out to the children that he left behind. But that's where I'm going to end it at, because they're innocent in this. They definitely are. So again, a lot of people will say, "Well, you should not speak ill of." Hey, what's up there, Conscious? How you doing, good brother? You should not speak ill of the dearly departed. Well, my first question to anyone that says that: if they were not dearly departed, would they not still be speaking ill of you? The history of Charlie Kirk says that yes, he would. He does not, he has never have, not in this entire public career, spoke highly of black folks, women, immigrants, just people in nature and human. And now because the man met his untimely demise, everybody is supposed to say, well, we forgot the bad stuff that he did and put that on the shelf. And Muslims as well. That's all absolutely right. We're supposed to forget the bad life that he lived because he met an untimely demise. Was it untimely? Some folks will say you reap what you sow. So you speaketh, so it shall happen. A lot of these folks call themselves Christians. Well, if you are a Christian and you believe in the Bible tells you what you speak from your tongue, you will manifest. Did Charlie Kirk not manifest the situation that he put himself in? Let's take an honest evaluation and look at what happened. The folks over there wanted to say it's all about war because they thought it was a Democrat. This is not about the political party that you are affiliated with, although that this is what America is going to make it about. They was hoping they could make it about an immigrant. They was hoping they could make it about a person of color. They was hoping they could make it about Muslims. So they could make Charlie Kirk into a martyr. Now, for all the folks that's grieving Charlie Kirk, I understand that. For some of y'all, he was his hero. So now let me speak to you about us as black people and our heroes. How many have you taken from us? Not the ones that we know about. So again, if you're one of those staunch believers in the Bible, and a lot of you folks say you are, it also says eye for an eye. The life that Charlie Kirk lived, folks, was not a good life. The man, well, I'm not even going to say, I'm just going to let the clips that I'm going to use, I'm going to let them speak for themselves. I'm going to make my commentary, but I'm going to let these clips speak for themselves, folks. It's not just me saying it. It's the entire world talking about Charlie Kirk. It's not just me. So let's start right here. Let's start with my man right here.
Who got shot in Utah. Him getting shot in Utah makes him, I believe, American number 18,533 who got shot in the U.S. this year, shot and killed. And I think that there were 3 more people who were killed.
Can you folks see that on the screen? I may be borging a little bit. Let me come back over here. Let me give me a 1 or a 2 if you folks can see that on the screen, because over here I can't see anything. I don't know what you folks can see on that side. Oh, living in the country. When you live by the sword, you die by the sword, there, ladies and gentlemen. Let me remove it and try this again. Okay. right, and then I'm gonna bring myself back in. All right, there, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm having a little bit of trouble here. Give me another one or two down there if you folks can hear me. I'm trying to play a video for you, but I can't see it on my end, so I don't know if you folks can see or hear me, to be quite honest with you right now.
Just over the mountains within hours of his shooting. And all the flags in America are going to fly half-mast, not for those 18,335 other victims, but they're going to fly half-mast for Charlie Kirk. That's just an observation. You can do with it what you will. I'll be honest, when I first heard that he had been shot, I made a joke about it on X. Because frankly, I'm just as used to theatrics coming out of America as I am used to gun violence coming out of America. And I thought that theatrics seemed more likely in this case. But when I did learn that he died, I deleted my post. I deleted it out of respect, not for him, but for the severity and for the solemnity of the judgment that he has now proceeded to. Because everything that he ever...
All right there, ladies and gentlemen. I seem to be having some technical difficulties here. I'm not sure if you folks can hear me or see what's being played on the screen here, and I'm not getting any response from y'all. So something's telling me that I'm going to have to restart this video. Let me type something in here. Hey, Lana, how you doing? How you doing? I don't know if you folks can hear me or not. I don't think you can see the video or not. Hey, Lana, how you doing? Somebody drop me a 1 or a 2 down in the lounge there if you folks can hear me. If not, I think I'm going to have to restart this video. All right there.
Did you see that Charlie Kirk just got shot and killed?
All right there, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all give me a 1 or 2 if you can hear me down in the lounge there. In the stream. Can y'all hear me? If you can hear me, can you see the video that I'm playing? No?
ever did that harmed anyone, well, he's going to answer for that. He's going to answer for that right now in his meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the heaviness of that meeting is disturbing to any of us who believe in it. But we'll talk about it. Let's start with the obvious, okay? First, I'm not going to feign grief or feign mourning for this person. I know that's a hypocrisy that social etiquette demands at a moment like this, but we all know that he would certainly
Ashar, are you saying you have sound but you don't have video? Is that it? What's going on, Black Hawk? How you doing? Hey, Lana, how you doing? Folks, let me know if you can hear me. I don't know why the video is not showing up, but if you can hear it, we'll play it through.
Not grieve for us. He certainly would not mourn for us, just as he never grieved and he never mourned for the wanton slaughter of the Palestinians in Gaza. He never grieved for that. And for myself personally, as a Muslim and as a critic of Western so-called civilization, I know that Charlie Kirk himself would most likely have officially anyway considered me to be his enemy. And as far as I'm concerned, any man whose enemy mourns him when he dies, well, he wasn't doing his job. And I don't think it can be said about.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Any man, if you were in combat, for those of you that was in the service, your enemy does not mourn your passing. That's what he's there for. He's there to take you out. Out of the words of Charlie Kirk, we were his enemy. So as the brother said, I hope I say his name right, Sahid Bohin, as he says, I'm sorry if I cannot feign that I'm sorry that this man has passed, because I've listened to him. I've listened to how he's spoken about us as black folks, as brown folks, as immigrants. It's all about white, straight. That's what he cares about. And rich at 31 years old. But I have a little deeper reasoning for myself, and I'm just going to hold on to why Charlie Kirk was summarily taken out. I think that we don't want to go down there. I know you're a conspiracy theorist, but we'll go down that in another episode. But you guys say you have video, so let's continue to play it.
Charlie Kirk, that he didn't do his job, which is to say that he never did anything and he never said anything in his public life that would make me mourn his passing, just as I hope that I will never say or do anything in my public life that would make my enemies grieve for my passing. They should be happy when I die. Enemies are disturbed by each other's presence, not by each other's absence. But let me also be crystal clear about this. It doesn't make me happy either. I neither mourn nor celebrate. Neither of those reactions is appropriate, in my opinion. Whoever pulled that trigger didn't do it for me, and they didn't do it for you.
And he's absolutely right. I neither mourn nor celebrate the passing of Charlie Kirk. For those who are out celebrating, maybe you need to take a look at yourself. And for those of you who I can understand why some people would have some, excuse me, I can understand why some people would have some harsh words for Charlie Kirk. But to publicize it, as you will see a little bit later on, just the average person that walked down the street, you'll see. For just as many that put Charlie Kirk in a good light, there's several that saw him as evil. And you'll see what I mean a little bit later.
I don't even see him as being on two different sides. They didn't silence Charlie Kirk. They amplified Charlie Kirk. The power structure never cared about that boy. They used him. And he's more useful to them now than he was the day before. He's more useful to them dead than he was alive. Listen, you don't defeat someone like this, someone like a Charlie Kirk, a tool like him, by letting that tool mold you into exactly what they want you to be. That killer didn't deliver justice. If you think they did, he didn't. He delivered to the power structure an even more enhanced weapon. He made a mediocre, but dangerous and polarizing figure, Charlie Kirk, into now an impeachable icon for the very fan base that he most likely despises. And he made criticism of Charlie Kirk's ideas. Now it's disrespect for the dead. This is not resistance. This is a gift. This is a gift to the very security state that he probably thought he was attacking. No, it's stupidity. Or maybe, as the conspiracy theories are already speculating, what actually happened was just a purge of an expendable asset to create a more powerful symbol. Well, they'll use his death. Oh, how they will use it. They will use his death to paint every dissenting voice, every cry for a more just world. They'll paint with the same bloody brush. They're going to use his death to avoid once again ever having to look in the mirror. They're going to hold Charlie Kirk's body up as a shield against any examination of the society that created him.
And you see that happening already. You see the folks on Fox News and all the different, even the mainstream so-called legacy media. They're all saying that it was uncalled for. Yes, it was. But you have to understand something. When you travel in the mud, when you're down in the dirt, sooner or later, and you're probably going to hear this quote come around a whole lot more here recently. The chickens will come home to roost. You lie down with dogs, you get fleas. It's one of them, someone that looks like Charlie Kirk, that took him out. And like my man said, they're going to use him as a martyr. They're going to use him as someone to prop up and say all that he was trying to do was to preserve the way of white life. Well, there's a right way and a wrong way. Right, sure. It's dominating it's dominating the scenes. No matter what, YouTube, mainstream media, radio, this is what everybody's talking about. Charlie Kirk.
And the society that created his killer. The society that they made and that they rule, and you didn't do anything now but strengthen their hold on that society. They're going to use his corpse as a pulpit to preach from. And you just validated all the lies that they're going to be preaching. You understand me? Because listen, the truth is the Charlie Kirks of the world are not the enemy. The enemy is the society, it's the system, it's the power structure, it's the so-called civilization that creates boys like Charlie Kirk. I call him a boy because that's what he is to me. I'm 54 years old.
Again, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a college educated man, but how many times have you heard me say that this is the whole of America? Because that's what created those Charlie Kirks of the world. You think he's the only one? There's another Charlie Kirk out there right now. Right now. Charlie Kirk was 31 years old. So you got to figure his political activism started in high school. So what? 15 years. He wasn't quite 35 yet. Think about this. At 35, he would have been able to run for what? A Senate position? Even the presidency of the United States. He had the backing of, y'all saw the crowd? Y'all saw how many people gather around him and listen to the rhetoric that he says? Like I said, it's the whole of America, whether you want to own up to it or not.
That's what he is to me, or that's what he was. And also because he presented a childish, simplistic cartoon portrait of America that only a young boy could ever believe in. He presented an America without complexity, without guilt, without the burden of their terrible history. Well, that's a seductive product. And America has always been an eager market for that sort of a product. He existed because of supply and demand. You demand and the power structure supplies. The killer and the killed are the products of the same sick society. Kirk and his killer, and the other 18,535 victims and their killers. And wallahi, if you don't clock this reality, if you don't understand this reality, and if you let yourself get swept up in all the narratives and all the counter narratives, then you might just end up being like one of them, on one side or the other side of that gun, because the machine is already spinning. The machine, that same machine that Charlie Kirk served so faithfully. They're spinning.
And absolutely, like he just said, the machine created both of those. It created the killer, and it created the person that was killed. It created Charlie Kirk. Now, again, the guy's been caught already, and I was going to start the broadcast off with that, but you know what? I'm not going to give him any airtime. I'm not going to speak about him. If you want to know his name, go look his name up. Sometimes it's, yeah, everybody's talking, everybody's going to tell you about him, but there's going to be more to come out about this, because you got, let me just speak this part about this killer. How was he able to get that far away? Do you think his parents did not know that once he came around him? Why did it take the folks that so-called a law-abiding citizen so long to turn him in? Hey, Mella, how you doing? Was it a Dylan Roof situation? Let me get you something to eat, let you take a hot bath. Now, some folks going to say, well, it was impossible for him to make that kind of shot, but you see, the kid grew up with guns. There's going to be all kinds of different theories of why it's virtually impossible that this kid, no, the system created both of them. So it's not impossible. Go back and I'm sure a manifesto, whatever they call it, manifesto going to come out. That where he's going to tell you all the reasons why he hated Charlie Kirk, why he hated society. And society's going to say he was a troubled young man. Society's going to say that he was a product. No, you can't say he was a product of bad parenting. None of the norms that they're going to try and throw at you is going to stick this time. None of the normal excuses. Well, they come from broken homes. Not this time. They poor. Not this time. They're undereducated. Not this time. His parents didn't care about him. Not this time. He was on drugs. Not this time. And that's all I'm going to say about him. I'll let other folks say you're talking about him.
The narrative now. They're going to label him as a martyr for free speech, a victim of left-wing extremism. And they're going to use his death, they're going to use it to demand more surveillance, more censorship, more policing, more militarization of the police against their opponents, more police powers. They're going to use his blood to sanitize his ideology and to legitimize every poisonous thing that he ever said. And some of you are out here cheering about what happened. Why, you're fools. Why, when you celebrate, all you do is elevate and strengthen their narrative. Charlie Kirk was not an outlier. He was a product. He was the logical output of a system that's designed to generate exactly what he was. Like I said, he didn't create the demand. The demand was already there. He just exploited it. He sold a fantasy, like I say, a fantasy where all of the problems of modern America, economic decay, economic despair, cultural displacement, and cultural unrest, political powerlessness, these are all not the inevitable results of late-stage capitalism in a dying empire. No, it's all the fault of immigrants. It's all the fault of minorities, of wokeism, some internal enemy that's not in power. Well, now he's been killed, and his death is going to be used to service that same system. The security state benefits, the politicians that he supported benefit, the media benefits because they get endless hours now of content, of debate, of fear-mongering, of polarization mining. You understand me? The entire apparatus of control gets a massive boost.
And is he wrong? The entire apparatus just got a massive boost behind the death of Charlie Kirk. Everyone's talking about it, from the lowest content creator to the highest content creator, to mainstream media, to legacy media, to the Fox News media. That's all everyone is talking about, and everybody's pointing the finger at somebody, except for the person that unfortunately we can't point the finger at him, Charlie Kirk, because he chose this path for himself. He's not he wasn't an uneducated man. He chose this path. You cannot live in a glass house and throw stones. Sooner or later, a window gonna break.
killing was not an attack on the system. It was a gift to the system. You didn't extinguish a fire, you just scattered the embers and made it more dangerous. The individual who pulled that trigger, their motives are irrelevant. It doesn't matter if they saw themselves as a revolutionary or they saw themselves as a vigilante. Their actions serve a deeply counter-revolutionary purpose. You understand me? You didn't help Muslims.
And that's exactly it. Before he goes any further, that's why I opened up with the song Dennis Brown. I probably won't be monetized for this video for that, but that's why I opened up with this. Do you know what a revolution is? And it's not what these folks are trying to show us, folks. This is not a revolution. This is as I've said over and over, this is the last vestiges of a society, a group of men that are in a losing battle. The United States of America is not an all-white male country anymore. They don't rule anymore. The world is not white anymore. If you look at the world, if you was to hold it out in your hand and put white folks in it, they would be a speck. When it comes to population, they would be a speck. And some great philosopher said, when your total existence is being threatened, you will do anything and everything to exist.
You didn't help so-called minorities. You didn't help immigrants. You didn't help women. You didn't help anyone. All you did was exactly what they created Charlie Kirk to goad you into doing. Please understand me. You contributed now. Whoever did this contributed to exactly the climate that they created Charlie Kirk to create. No, they're both servants of chaos. The killer and the killed. No, you don't need a bullet. You need a brain. You need a mind that can't be manipulated. You need an inflammable heart. A heart that can stay calm, cool, and collected when everything around you is in flames. That's what you need. And wallahi, you can't let the hatred of a people cause you to act unjustly, or to advocate or to endorse injustice, or to celebrate injustice. Don't let that boy's enmity towards us and ours towards him make you think that his murderer is our ally. No, you don't answer words with bullets. You know, back in the day, back in the time of the Sahaba, when the Muslims would fight against the kuffar, the kuffar, they would bring their drummers and they would bring their singing girls to egg them on. Nobody ever killed them. Well, that's what Charlie Kirk was. You don't win a war by targeting the singing girls and the drummers of your enemy. That's no strategy. I've said many, many times, you have to erect your partitions around your discourse, around your people, around what you let into your mind, or you're going to lose your focus and you're going to lose your purpose and you're going to get confused and you're going to make bad decisions. You're going to make wrong decisions, unjust decisions, immoral decisions, because you let yourself get provoked. No. For me personally, I didn't care about Charlie Kirk yesterday, the day before, and I don't care about him now. I don't mourn and I don't celebrate. That's strategic indifference. And I don't respect anyone who tries to tell me that I'm supposed to grieve. And I don't respect.
And that's another mic drop moment for me. I don't respect anyone that's tell me how I'm supposed to grieve. I don't think, like you said, I didn't think about Charlie Kirk last week. I didn't think about him yesterday. And the only reason I'm thinking about him now, because I'm addressing what I see in the YouTube streets. Other than that, there's plenty of times I've heard Charlie Kirk speak, but I refuse to give him a platform. I refuse to air what his nastiness is all about. I never understood why they allowed him to be on college campuses. But again, this thing that they call free speech. We all have it. So he was able to go anywhere and speak his rhetoric. But as my man said here, he still shouldn't have met a bullet for saying that. Whether you disagreed with him, whether you disagreed with what he said, indifference was the best way to deal with Charlie Kirk. He don't matter. He don't matter. And that's the worst place to be with any human being, in indifference, because you don't matter. Folks hear me say it all the time. When I tell you, have a nice life, that's exactly what I mean, because I have nothing else for you. No words, no nothing. Have a nice life. I don't mean, ill harm. And that's the same thing with Charlie Kirk. But he could not have a nice life, because you know why? He chose the path that he was on. He chose to disparage women. He chose to disparage black people. And now because he's gone, I'm supposed to watch what I say about him, because one of y'all content creators is going to get mad. Scratch your ass and get glad.
Anyone who tells me that I'm supposed to be happy. What is he to me or me to him? He certainly isn't more important to me than the most likely hundreds of thousands of my brothers and sisters that you cut down in Gaza. You didn't mourn any of them, and I didn't tell you to, because I already know how you are. I already know that your performance of mourning over Charlie Kirk has nothing whatsoever to do with respect for human life. He was just a vessel for an ideology that you hold sacred. And it's an ideology that dehumanizes people. It's an ideology that disregards the sanctity of life. And we've seen that on full display for the last 2 years. So no, obviously not. I'm not the least bit interested in accommodating your weaponization of selective compassion and selective sympathy. Now, if you want to paint my indifference, if you want to spin my indifference as if it is approval of the crime that was committed, well, okay, I already know that you never do anything but lie anyway. And I know that you are from exactly the same manipulated, mutated, mutilated, and maladjusted population that created the demand that the power structure met by giving you Charlie Kirk, and that gave you his killer. Meaning you're just part of that mob in America. That same collective monster that's responsible for the American genocide of the indigenous people. That's responsible for genocides in Guatemala, genocides in Bangladesh, in Iraq, in Cambodia, in East Timor, in West Papua, and in Gaza. And you're the same collective monster that's responsible for every atrocity, every heinous crime that your country has ever committed. As far as I'm concerned, you poisoned Charlie Kirk's mind before he could even have a chance at a decent life, a moral life. And you poisoned the mind of the one who took the life that Charlie Kirk had. So spare me your counterfeit moralizing. No, you turned your country into a psychological and a spiritual torture chamber. And then your country turned the global South into a physical and an economic torture chamber. And now that system, that same system that you're serving, is turning inwards on you now. I told you that political violence, division, and terrorism, and civil unrest, and turmoil, I told you all this was going to be coming home. Why? Because that's your business model. That's your business model. And you're the only market left to vanquish. And the more you give yourself up to all these twisted, polarizing, hateful narratives, well, all you're doing is playing along with your own demolition.
Well, like I said, folks, there's not too much I can follow up behind that. All I can do is agree. Again, is it sad that Charlie Kirk lost his life? Absolutely. I'm sure his children miss their father. That part I have empathy for. But Charlie Kirk himself was a man that said he did not have empathy. So what we're going to do next, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to listen to D.L. Hughley and Don Lemon. This was before we even knew who the killer was.
Is saying that, oh my gosh, we're happy that this happened to Charlie Kirk. It should nobody. I don't believe in political violence. However, the right is saying, well, this is war, and you liberals are killers.
What was it when the one congresswoman was murdered along with her husband in Minnesota and another congressman? See, because here's the thing. Now, they bantering the word assassination around Charlie Kirk was not a political figure. I mean, he might have been influential to political figures. He wasn't a political figure. He wasn't assassinated. He was shot. He was shot. And that's unfortunate. Unfortunately, that happens to far too many people. But those other two congressmen, they were political figures, and they were shot because of their political beliefs. And it's always like we can only have empathy for people if we relate to them, if we spark to them, if we have a tribal connection to them. It is a shame. And the thing that makes me the angriest about this is I always swore that I would never cede my humanity to anybody or any other situation, but that's getting more and more difficult to do, because I certainly don't believe a young man 31 years old should have lost his life. But Charlie Kirk was a horrible human being. He said horribly incendiary things. As a matter of fact, he died. The very last words he spoke were basically putting the onus of gun violence on gangs, which is a synonym for
And an absolute, before he even goes, that was the very last words that Charlie Kirk spoke, for all of you folks that could stomach watching that video, was gang. Think about that. He was about to disparage black people before he met his demise. Less than 2 seconds before that bullet met Charlie Kirk's neck, he was about to say something disparaging about black people. Because we know, like D.L. Hughley's about to tell you, when you say gangs, you certainly don't think white.
With black people. He blamed the very way he died was lying about black people with his last breath. And I just think the best thing I can say is that I hope he believed what he was saying. I hope he believed that lives being lost were worth it, so the Second Amendment can persevere. I hope he believed that there should be a lack of empathy. He was parsing between sympathy. Sympathy means we have a similarity. Empathy means I have nothing to do with you, but I can still feel your pain as a human being. And I hope he believed all the rhetoric he espoused, because if not, that was certainly an empty, vacant way to live, and certainly a horrible way to die.
Speaking of, here is Charlie Kirk on empathy.
Instead, it is to say you're actually not in pain. So let's just very short clip. Bill Clinton in the 1990s, it was all about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that it does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when...
Folks, a 31-year-old kid, and basically that's what Charlie Kirk is, according to me and according to folks that's older than him, thought empathy was a made-up word. Now, in 31 years of living, where would that come from? Someone had to teach him that. Someone had to convince this now 31-year-old deceased kid that empathy was a made-up word, that you cannot be empathetic to people. You have to be, like D.L. Hughley said, you have to be sympathetic or around people or have a kinship with somebody to show them sympathy. But you cannot be empathetic to people that you don't know. If I find out someone on my panel or someone that I know that I've seen in the YouTube streets, if something was to happen to them and there was a way for me to get in touch with their family, that would be me being empathetic to them. No, I don't know the person personally, but I understand the situation that they're in. How could you not be empathetic? How could you not have empathy for anyone or anybody? That just shows a lack of humanity. And to say that with such vigor and it just rolled off his tongue.
When it comes to politics, sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time. Here's cut 64.
Okay, so you said sympathy and empathy are different. It would be great if one could have both, and that means it sounds to me like he's saying if I can't relate to you in any way, if you're not of my tribe, then I can't understand what it's like for you. Yeah, therefore I have no empathy, no feelings about good feelings.
Exactly. Like even whenever, this is just my assessment of, when I hear a white guy tell me how much he loves Christ, I wonder who he hates more. Because It wasn't a mess of love and togetherness. It was separateness. It's superiority versus inferiority.
Now,
And
now, since DL invoked again, that's why I wanted him to speak on that. Now, if you folks can go back and listen to some of Charlie Kirk's podcasts, or some of the things that he said in his live shows, you tell me, is anything he said, is it Christ-like, or is it the teaching of the Bible? I find what Charlie Kirk is said in public and what he said he believed in did not parallel with each other. I found Charlie Kirk to be quite hypocritical. You cannot be a so-called Christian that he said he was and disparage other people just based on what they look like. You cannot be a Christian and say that you will not help the poor. Who he hate more? Isn't that deep, Miller? Isn't it? Isn't it? Who he hate more? So again, I this idea that he was a Christian, y'all gonna need to miss me with that too. But Christians don't act this way. Christians don't disparage people. Christians don't say, "Hey, if I get on an airplane and if the person's black, I'm not gonna be comfortable."
it amazes me how when Jesus was sitting with Lazarus, when Lazarus was asleep, and he was sitting with I forgot her name. He was with her, crying with her, even though he knew that he would wake him up 5 minutes from now. Like he knew, but that's empathy. The very tenet, the very core of Christianity is empathy. Loving your neighbor, not yourself, not people in your tribe. And they bastardize almost every aspect of this. They've taken terms and twisted them to mean something that they don't. He was a white nationalist who said horribly incendiary things about virtually everybody. If you didn't have his worldview, if you didn't see the world like he did, you were on the other side of it. I think that you shouldn't die for that. But unfortunately, that has always been the history of this country. So I don't have a hard time holding these two ideas in my head at one time. I think it was a vile human.
And it goes just back to what my man was saying earlier. Both of those, the shooter and the person that got shot, was a product of what we see today. Two ideologies that thought they were superior to each other. One thought that the best way to silence this one other guy was to put a bullet through his neck. And the other one that received the damage was a guy that went around talking about people in the worstest of ways. But both of those were created by this society. Both of them.
Being, and I think you shouldn't die for. Imagine if that were the standard, or that was the predicate for killing somebody, I think anybody would be alive. But I think he shouldn't have died for that. But lionizing him, you're lowering the flag. Even if Charlie Kirk had been alive when that school shooting that happened at the same time, he would have thought that those lives were worth it. He thought, and very clearly, he thought the gun laws were too tough. He thought they should have been relaxed. So he died the very way, protecting the very thing that would take his life. And I don't believe in karma. But I do think it's interesting. He wasn't killed in New York or LA, or he wasn't killed in Baltimore or any of the cities that they constantly hold up as whipping boys. He was killed in one of the whitest places on earth, and by some.
And absolutely, and no disrespect to the folks that live in Utah, but can you think of any place whiter? Can you? I'm wondering if Trump gonna send the National Guard into Utah. Utah, right, Shaw? Haven't heard that in a while, huh? But again, just think about that. in one of the whitest places in America. Do you not think Charlie Kirk did not feel comfortable sitting in that chair? Did he didn't think that no harm was going to befall him that day?
Someone that looked like him. You can tell. Let me tell you something. You know who it was because you know who it wasn't. When 3 words let you know when the black guy, Utah and at large. So I think it is a shame that such a young man was capable of such acrimony and vile speak. That's the saddest part to me.
Again, right now we don't know who the suspect is. You heard me read the update, I believe, DL, at the beginning.
And actually, we do know who the suspect is, folks, but I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to give him any air cover. If you want to know who the suspect is, you're more than welcome to. I may post it on my community tab, but I don't want to speak his name. I don't want to give him any airtime, but it's quite easy to find who he is, and you can figure out his background. I did have a clip, but I thought about it about 5 minutes prior to going live, and I said no. I'm not going to give him any airplay at all. So, again,
on the show when we started, that there's still a suspect on the loose. There's been all this misinformation. There was something about there's a transgender connection. None of that has been confirmed right now.
Of course, because they arrested. You know how hard it is to find a white guy in Utah? That's got to be. I think, and plus, look at who's looking for him. Between Pam Bondi and Cash Patel, they shouldn't be head of security at a junior college. But these are what we have as the head of law enforcement in this country, and it wasn't that because of their.
Now that's one thing that I will speak on. Now I heard all these people saying, "Well, it wasn't for the hard work of law enforcement." What did y'all do? You didn't catch him. Somebody turned him in. He was 270 miles away from the crime scene. If he just decided to keep going, y'all still wouldn't know who he is. If he decided not to tell his folks, he'd have still been going. Y'all didn't know who you didn't catch him. What did law enforcement do? Y'all didn't catch him. Somebody turned him in. Is they gonna get that reward money? Is that why they called? Because there was I think $100,000 reward. Is them folks gonna get that money? They entitled to it, ain't they? They turned him in. They didn't say, "Hey, if you're a family member, you can't get this money." But wouldn't that be the first place that law enforcement should look? Wouldn't you think that they would stake out any known acquaintance, anybody that he's been around in the last 24 to 36 to 48 hours, and family members? Wouldn't you think that would be the first place he would go? So I'm wondering why law enforcement, Cash Patel and Pam Bondi, didn't think of that.
Their acumen, it was because of their loyalty, their fealty. And now when you need professionalism, you need people with expertise, you don't have it.
Don't know, and still they're coming to conclusions about who is responsible, like Nancy Mace. Listen.
I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened today. I am devastated.
Now,
my kids
now before we let this kookaburra continue to talk, this is the rhetoric that I'm talking about. Nancy Mace, we all know about her. But listen to what she says. Democrats own this. There's not a person that has a Democratic pen that was behind that gun. I've heard people in the YouTube streets that say the Democrats are the reason why this kid did this. Well, guess what? He's not a Democrat. He's not affiliated with any political party. But he is a registered voter. So if y'all want to talk, go back and look who he voted for. Then you got someplace to talk about. Chances are he probably voted for Trump. He live in Utah. And why are we talking about Utah? Utah is mostly Mormons, right? Mormons and conservative don't think alike. Have y'all ever known a Mormon and a conservative to get along? Two different ideologies, isn't it? Isn't it? Let's continue.
Panicking. They probably, all the kids of every conservative in the country call panicking. Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot.
Then, by that logic, do Republicans own the shooting of the 2 Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota?
Political.
Isn't this on both sides?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm asking.
We
a
don't
serious
know what
question.
condition Charlie Kirk is in right now. Some raging leftist lunatic put a bullet through his neck, and you want to talk about Republicans right now? No.
No, I'm asking.
No, not at all.
You said the Democrats
this
have to own
is
it too.
on.
But I'm asking,
Democrats own this.
But isn't there a problem with
this.
political violence across the spectrum?
Yeah, we're talking about Charlie Kirk right now. That's the subject of this that we're talking about right now. Democrats own this 100%.
How do we know what he was? Like, we don't even know. Here's the thing. I guarantee. Now, I don't know who he was. I certainly don't know what his motivations are. But I do know this. I bet he was a white guy who could have a gun legally, and he was a good white guy with one of those guns. Who makes guns easier to get in a country so angry and so divided?
Well, guess
who
what?
Insists?
Well, guess what, DL? You was right on. Because DL said this before they caught him. So everything that DL just said, he was absolutely right about it. He was a white guy that could legally own a gun that we gonna consider a good guy. So was he wrong? Absolutely not. But again, if you go into YouTube streets, you'll find some people trying to say that this kid was mentally ill. No, there was nothing wrong with him. He was in college. He got a scholarship to a prestigious college. Wasn't nothing mentally wrong with him. He just got a warped sense of, he just got a warped mind. That's what's wrong with him. He didn't agree with Charlie Kirk, so he figured the best way to show Charlie Kirk that I don't agree with you was to take him out.
On propagating more guns? Who insists on protecting gun lobbies? Who insists that we are safe enough and that the cost of freedom is the lives of American citizens every single day? Who owns that? It's really simple. We shouldn't have such unfettered access to guns. We shouldn't be so callous about them. Even Charlie Kirk's own words said that it was acceptable to lose American lives as long as they got freedom to protect the Second Amendment so they can protect it. What other right is more important than the right to life? Like, what other thing are you saving up for that the Second Amendment is going to protect you for other than the sanctity of life? What does that mean? I guarantee you, if you committed abortions with a gun, it would be a whole different thing, but that's not the way it is. They don't care about lives. It should be an abomination. If you can't tell me political speak didn't kill that man, somebody with a gun did. And it's easier to get guns in America than it is Sudafed. And you tell me the problem is what somebody says has nothing to do with the fact that they have the apparatus to commit acts of violence. They have apparatuses to do it. They could walk around in many states with guns and unfettered access to them. And you think it's just words? Words didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Somebody with a gun did. And somebody with a gun that people like him and people on the right made it easier to have and to possess and to stockpile.
Speaking of the Second Amendment, here's Charlie Kirk.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe. So then how do you reduce? Very simple. People say, oh, Charlie, how do you stop school shootings? I don't know. How did we stop shootings at...
Well, he became that statistic that he asked about, that he thought he believed in. Because he said, out of his own mouth, folks, y'all heard Charlie Kirk say that it's acceptable for the United States to have a couple gun deaths every year, if it means protecting all our other rights. So in a way, Charlie, you got exactly what you wished for. Now, some people will find that harsh, but if Charlie Kirk was still alive, he would say that again. He stood by that moniker. Said he believed that it was, as long as it wasn't him, or if it was not someone connected to him or someone in his family, that someone being killed in this country by gun violence was okay. I want y'all to let that sink in for a minute before you start memorializing and pedestalizing Charlie Kirk. Out of his own mouth, you just heard him say that you, Mella, you, Shar, or somebody y'all know, it would be okay for one, or me, it would be okay for us to lose our life in the protection of certain amendments to the Constitution. That's what Charlie Kirk said. And y'all expect people to feign some kind of sympathy or empathy for him when he had neither. He was blatant with his blatant. What word am I looking for? I can't. No, there's no word to describe the things that came out of this man's mouth.
Is that this may sound harsh, but this is the world that he created, that he helped to create, the reality.
Listen, what is it? Proverbs 18:21. Life is death is in the power of the tongue. He said these things. He laid his life at the altar.
Okay, again, for all you Christians, there's another Bible quote from DL. And I guarantee you can find that one because he just gave you the scripture number. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. You equate those two.
Of the Second Amendment. And felt, see, the problem is he didn't think, nor did they think it would happen to one of them. He didn't think it would happen to him. But it's fine when school kids are dying. It's fine when people are getting shot at synagogues. Look at, we've had, they tried to put a bomb they burned down where the sitting governor of Pennsylvania was sitting, was with his family. Was this kind of outrage? They have tried to assassinate the president of the United States of America. He was a candidate at that time, in 2 times in the same month. But nothing has changed other than our pointing of fingers. If we want to make America safer, if we want to stop the rash of gun deaths, we have to decide that it's important enough for us to do it. And what they've decided is the gun lobby and whatever their personal ideologies are more important. The only thing, when I look at these people, the only freedom that these people seem to want is unfettered access to weapons and freedom to tell women what to do with their bodies.
Is he wrong? Because they always hollering the Second Amendment. You're not going to take away my Second Amendment rights, right before they spit on the ground. Ping. And Nick Fuentes running around scared. He's scared now. He's scared because he knows he could possibly be one of those guys. With all that rhetoric he been talking. There's a clip out of him now, scared as all get out. This could happen to me. Now he want to call for unity and peace. Too late, Nick. Too late, Nick.
That's not freedom at all. I don't think that there's people get mad when I say this. I don't think that there's a substantive difference between religious fundamentalists, Islamist religious fundamentalists, and Christian nationalists. I don't think there's a big difference, because what they're doing in that part of the world, they'd like to do here.
Now, I want y'all to listen to what DL just said, because you hear a lot of what DL just said. You hear this in these so-called SYSBM manosphere, these he-man women hating 8-hour, 10-hour, 20-hour streams, that all they do is sit around and talk about the ills of women, whether you're black, white, or whatever. But I think if they thought they could live in another country and do some of the shit that they do to women. If it was legal here, they would do it. And I think that's exactly what DL is just explaining. If this was, if you could take your woman to the courthouse and beat her at 6 o'clock at noon, a lot of y'all niggas would do it because it would be legal and call it domestic discipline. But it's just on a grander scale there, what we see here, because isn't that what J.D. Vance is pushing for? Isn't that what Nick Fuentes is pushing for? Isn't this what Charlie Kirk was pushing for? Isn't it that so many of these so-called right-wing activist folks that are out there telling you that they don't want y'all women in control of your bodies at all? Only thing you can do is be barefoot and pregnant. Get your ass in that, get in that kitchen and rattle them pots and pans.
They would like to be able to do all that they do here. What stops them is certain areas where it's not palatable. But they would run the world the way they do. And this idea, America, if violence is so unacceptable, why is it so readily accepted? We use these cliches. We are used to it. You know what they call in America? People are shot all the time. People are murdered all the time with the use of guns. You know what they call it? They call it Wednesday. It's called Wednesday. It's called Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's every day of the week. And you only get outraged when it's somebody who was tribal with you. But you don't think anything when children are slaughtered.
Since you mentioned that, DL, just so you know, as we are on this live stream now, there is reportedly breaking news that's coming out of UMass Boston. And these are there's folks are running for cover there because of reports of a shooting at UMass Boston happening just within the last 20 minutes. So it may not be a Wednesday, maybe it's a Thursday.
It's every day. Every day.
And today is Friday, folks. So earlier today, I listened to this already. So earlier today, I just scanned the local news here to see how many people got shot today. So here in South Carolina, in Charleston, South Carolina, there was 4 people that was confirmed that lost their life to gun violence today. So Friday, we had happened on Wednesday, happened on Thursday, and as far as I'm concerned, it happened on Friday. So that's exactly what DL and Don is talking about. It's an everyday occurrence here in the United States that someone loses their life to intentional, not accidental, but intentional gun violence every day. But you still have these folks running around talking about the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms. And I can own as many guns as I want to. You have all the right in the world to protect you and your family and your property. Yes, you do. But you don't need a military grade weapon to do it. A shotgun makes a distinct sound. Even animals run when they hear a shotgun being chambered. They know what that means.
Somebody's murdered in this country. We are, you know, they think that it's got to be, all we offer is thoughts of prayers. It's got to be hard for God to hear prayers over the sound of gunfire and screams.
DL dropping some bombs.
It's become, and it's the country that we accept. So I can't even, it's the country we decide to accept. But what I refuse to do is to let somebody tell me that because somebody died, it would have been okay for people to die in the way Charlie Kirk did, as long as we're in the service of the Second Amendment. That's what he said, right? That's what he said. That's what they believe. I think that that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think you live by the sword, you die by the sword. That's very unfortunate. But I can't think of a more apt, an ironic thing than actually saying his last words were gang violence. He was actually blaming
and transgender. He was taking a question on transgender accountability or something of that nature.
Yeah. So I'm sad for his wife and children. I'm sad for the countless children who will lose their parents because of the mentality of people like that, and the countless children who will be slaughtered in schools. It's more acceptable. We'll ban books, but not the instruments of destruction, because that's who we are. That's who we are.
Isn't that something, folks? Actively, we'll ban books. We'll go out of our way to ban the books, but they'll put up a fight, tooth and nail fight, beat your mama fight, scratch your grandma fight to own a gun, knowing that the money. When I was in elementary school, grade school, and high school, the last thing I thought about was someone coming into that school shooting me. Now, that has to be paramount in every kid's mind when they go to school. That has to be paramount in every parent's thought when they send their children off on the school bus or they drop them off at school. Is my child going to make it home today? Is some nut job going to feel emboldened enough to just go in and take an AR-15 and just start killing folks for no reason? And let's face facts and realities, folks. The majority of people that do this are young white men. Ever since Dylan Klebold and that other kid at Columbine, the steady stream of white men, young white men, that just woke up in the morning with a bad attitude and a gun and decided to take their nastiness out on somebody else. But this is what Charlie Kirk was advocating for. So again, folks, when y'all say, mourn this man, miss me with that. Would he have mourned for you if it would have been one of you folks that got killed? Would he have fired up a live stream and talked about y'all? Would he have fired up a live stream and talked about me?
And it's ridiculous to stop. Violence has no place in America. Violence on beachfront property in America.
Just in moments, we're going to get there's Donald Trump is speaking, and we'll hear from him in a moment. But I want to play this. This is a deal. I really want you to respond to this. This is a Charlie Kirk on Black people and civil rights.
We note in our piece that Kirk describes King as, quote, a bad guy. It's true. And Kirk self-described very, very radical view that the country made a mistake when it passed the Civil Rights Act. Also true. As we note in the piece, Kirk has previously described Kirk as a hero and a civil rights icon. It's true. I used to be wrong. What inspired Kirk to shift his view on MLK? Why does Kirk think that MLK is a bad guy? When Kirk says that MLK says, quote, one good thing he didn't believe, what does he mean by that? Why does Kirk believe passing the Civil Rights Act was a mistake? Now, again, apparently they don't listen to the show because we do that at least once a week, right? Once a week we talk about why the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. Yeah, and so it's very simple. So how do you love somebody? You love them so much to correct their error. Yeah. And so let's just, take the pride conversation out because people think it's an identification, which it's not, it's just sexual behavior. But it's, if you meet an alcoholic or you meet a drug addict, do you affirm their struggle? No. You say, you're better than this. Let's get you free from that. Let's get you free from that activity. Now, we don't know what part Elon is saying is the actual truth. So let's go through this. Again, it's double negatives and misuse of the word disinterested. It's a strange tweet that Elon pinpointed on here. But the first part is absolutely true. Let's go to this. Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. Now, I don't like generalizations. Not every Jewish person believes that. But it is true, the Anti-Defamation League was part and parcel with Black Lives Matter. It is true.
Now, before we go any further, before we hear DL's response to it, let me just say this. For all you brothers and sisters out there that are holding streams, that think it's okay to hold Charlie Kirk in such high esteem when your mere existence he's trying to erase. You heard him say the civil rights was a mistake. You heard him say that even if on his deathbed, on his dying bed, if the surgeon was black, he'd hope that surgeon knew what they were doing. Martin Luther King, one of the most greatest black men that all us black folks hold in reverence and a special place in our hearts. What did he say about him? Hey, Rogue C, how you doing? Hey, what's up there, Bon Turner? Again, you know, let me address this comment right here. Hey, Rogue C, good to see you. Okay, appreciate you coming in. But let me address this comment right here. Listen, you're entitled to your opinion, Bon, when it comes to Charlie Kirk. Now, some people will say that. There's a whole lot of folks that's going to say that. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and take this off the screen and let you see some of the comments that'll match exactly what you just said. A lot of folks are saying, good riddance, Charlie Kirk. Not folks of color. Talking about white folks. Just random walking up in the street, asking them what they think about what happened to Charlie Kirk. And them white folks you'll be surprised what you folks gonna hear. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm gonna let you listen for yourself. You ready, Bond?
Wow, that's good. That's good that people are getting shot just off a political view. Good that people are dying in America.
Did you see that Charlie Kirk got shot and killed today?
Yes, I did.
How do you feel about that?
I don't really have any feelings about it. Who are you?
Charlie Kirk got shot and killed today. We're just getting people's opinions. How do you feel about that?
Girl, someone had to do it. And that's how I feel at this point in time.
Hey there, Miss Jaylyn. How you doing? Good to see you. Someone had to do it. And she put emphasis on it. I'm not going to speak like that, but she said, girl, someone had to do it. It doesn't get any better from here, folks. These were just mild ones.
But
you know, I appreciate your honesty. I truly do. So you said someone had to do it.
yes. Try not to get all pulled up into that, but he was a misogynist. He was a disgusting person with disgusting beliefs.
So if you had a magical wand, a magical button that you could press and keep him from being assassinated, would you press that?
No. I think things happen for a purpose. And if that's how his life was ended, then that's how it was ended. So.
Charlie Kirk got exactly what he had been advocating for. I'm not endorsing it. I'm not condoning it. He got exactly what he had been advocating for.
Personally, I will never celebrate somebody being murdered, but that doesn't mean that I have to have sympathy either. Charlie Kirk is going to have a legacy, but it's going to be a bad legacy to a lot of us. And he will be remembered by all of the hateful and racist rhetoric that he spread while he was alive. And it's crazy that Laura Loomer really got on X to say that she's going to ruin the livelihoods of anyone that is celebrating or happy that Charlie Kirk died. But yet there was the same fucking woman that got on X a few months ago saying things like, feeding illegals to the gators. We need more of that energy. The alligators have 65 million meals guaranteed if we start now. So
And like she said, no outrage when Laura Loomer said that. Go look up and see who she is. No outrage, no pushback. Not from legacy media, not from anybody. Just a couple content creators talked about it. But for the most part, you didn't even hear that. You didn't even hear that. This is probably the first time a lot of y'all heard that. If you're in this chat right now, there's 65 million of them. Let the gators have plenty to eat. Is basically what she said. She was talking about who? Migrants. Alligator Alcatraz. That's one of their biggest accomplishments, DeSantis. So in Charlie Kirk, he praised alligator Alcatraz. So when I see you black podcasters, especially you brothers, you men, that celebrate Charlie Kirk, I have to ask you, what the fuck's wrong with you? Do you not read? Do you not listen? Or do you just want to be a part of white America that bad that you will sell your own identity down the river to be a part of it? There's making a what do you call that? There's making a little bit of money on YouTube, or being noticed on YouTube, views and clicks and likes. Is that worth your identity? That's the worst thing that you can lose, is your identity, because what you lose, that you have nothing else. And a lot of y'all folks are losing your identity to prop up Charlie Kirk and his ideology. And that's absolutely crazy to me as a black man. I heard someone that I follow today, and I'm kind of really disappointed. And I hate to call your name up, but I'm going to have to. Sheep, stay asleep. I heard you say today that you were a proud Trump supporter. How, brother? Take the politics out of that for a minute. Like I said in my last stream, Sheep. Take the politics out of that. How could you be a proud Trump supporter? Or that same question goes to anyone else who support Trump. I was listening to his live stream today, Sahara, and I heard him say it. Yes, I'm a proud Trump supporter. Quite disappointed. Quite disappointed when I heard that. But let's continue.
Can promote and encourage the death of 65 million fucking Latinos, but Charlie Kirk is where we draw the line. You guys are fucking delusional. It's crazy to say that Dems are the fucking problem when the majority of mass shootings in this country have been far-right, white Christian nationalists. Yes. But one person shoots Charlie Kirk and all of a sudden we have a Dem problem? Like, really, what is the experience to be this fucking delusional?
If you are loudly grieving Charlie Kirk today, but you were radio silent when Melissa Hortman and her husband were violently attacked and killed in their home, and John Hoffman were shot because they were politicians. If you do not post on Facebook about all of these mass shootings that are killing our children, and you are not posting or talking about the thousands of children and women and men who are losing their lives in Gaza for a genocide that we pay for with our tax dollars. If you are openly grieving him today, but you have been radio silent about those things, I do not want to hear a word from you. Your empathy is performative at best.
At best. Every
human being matters. So until you start acting like it, I would stop opening your mouth and talking.
Does America think we're this stupid now? Like, they're gonna expect us to believe that some college kid was able to do a kill shot right in the artery of Charlie Kirk's neck? Come on, guys.
Well, I know that's hard to believe there, sir, but listen, you got to look at it. I can speak from the perspective of someone that's been around guns my entire life. There was a time when my younger brother and my brother that's a year older than me, our thing was to go shoot nickels out of trees. Think about that. At 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, shooting nickels out of trees or setting up bottles. Go look at the pictures of this assassin. He grew up with guns. His father had guns. His uncles had guns. He was quite familiar with them. So it wouldn't be a far cry to say that this kid could have made that kind of shot with that kind of rifle. It really isn't. But let's continue.
It's time to wake up.
All these white people on TikTok crying over a snake like Charlie Kirk dying. Why? When you put out hate in the world, it comes back at you. Why are you crying? Do you know that 15% of the population of the world is white? The other 85% of the rest of the goddamn world is not white. However,
Again, go look for yourself, folks. Go look at the facts and figures. It speaks for itself. Only 15% of this entire world is white. The other 85% is brown or black. Think about that.
You white people over the centuries have murdered millions of people. Why are you upset about this devil's spawn? Why? You all killed each other all over Europe. Right now, 2 white nations are fighting against each other. And the white nation of Israel, supposedly, is looking to eliminate 2 million people in Gaza. For 15% of the world population, you certainly and without a doubt have caused nothing but strife in almost every goddamn country in the world except Japan, because you didn't invade it. So shut the fuck up. We don't care. Utah is 89% white. Why hasn't Trump sent the National Guard for this white-on-white crimes? And as for Utah, that's another cult state. This man made up a religion so that he could essay young girls.
Again, go look at who founded Utah and why was it founded. Again, folks, these are not my words. These are the words of just an average, everyday American walking down the street when asked their opinion about Charlie Kirk. Some offered just their opinion about Charlie Kirk, and as you see with this lady right here, she lowered the boom. Can anybody argue with her points? No. Go look up the history of Utah and see who created it and see why it was created and see what was going on there. See how many of the sister wives live over there in Utah. I'm just saying.
So fuck off.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
All right, let me try and explain something to you. The world is trying to change and ascend into a intuition and loved-based way of being. When that happens, and we start talking things out loud, that's how manifestation occurs. So when you are speaking about subjects like this, it's not one rule for everybody else, but you're exempt. If you have a true belief like this and you're willing to state it, unfortunately, for him, for his wife and his children, there are consequences. We can call it karmic retribution, and that is going to happen to every single person, whether that is in this lifetime or your next. It is the way the universe works, through balance. We must experience.
And isn't that interesting that Shah and Zahara, it's not only white Americans speaking this way about what's happening over here. It's other folks, because you can clearly tell that the last 2 women, if they do live in this country, that they more than likely immigrated here. Especially the last woman talking to this woman talking, you can tell they are probably of European descent somewhere. So not only Charlie Kirk, this is how not only white folks in America is looking at you, this is how those other folks are looking at you too, those ones overseas.
everything. We experience what we put onto others, and we experience what others put onto us. In a world that is evolving and ever changing, choose your words carefully. Choose your beliefs. Question where such hateful, dominant energy is coming from. Where is it going to get you? Where is that leading you and the rest of the world? Be careful of your words as our world is ascending into instant manifestation times.
So many of you Charlie Kirk fans are so mad at me right now. So this is what I'm going to do for you, okay? I'm going to play a clip of Charlie, and I'm going to grant him his wish to fulfill his legacy, to give you exactly what you're looking for of Charlie Kirk, this great white man that you all put on a fucking pedestal. You ready?
In fact, I even think that we should bring back, public execution.
I guess the racist piece of shit got what he wanted.
Alright, so I have seen the video multiple times from various angles. And yeah, I gotta say, he does look better in red. But that's not what I want to talk about, okay? Of course, naturally, there's going to be the virtue signaling coming in from really both sides, mostly the right, but, yeah. But, yeah, and, they're going to be saying shit like, oh, he was a husband and father. It's not right to be, cheering someone's death. And I'm just like, look, this man said he hated empathy, okay? I'm just respecting his wishes. But, honestly, empathy has its limits. Okay, and quite frankly, MAGA as a whole has just completely exhausted my empathy. I got nothing for y'all. Not even the concept of. And no, I don't condone violence, but it could not have happened to a better person, And as for his wife and daughters, you know what? His wife is young enough to remarry. She'll be fine. And as his daughters, considering the shit that he's been saying about women, I'd say they're better off. I don't even think that condolences are really fitting here. I'd say congratulations are in order.
Again, if this was a courtroom, this was a jury of your peers. Charlie Kirk, this is a jury of your peers. This is the people that would walk around that would say that look like you, that's in your tribe. Now, I'm sure there's some folks out there that agreed with you, of course. But look at all the people that don't. Look at the people that are unsympathetic or unempathetic to what happened to you. Even so much, someone said that your wife is young enough to get married. To get remarried, I should say. I won't even repeat what they said about your daughter. That's not fair.
I mean, literally nothing of value was lost. But there is a lesson to be learned here, okay? And the moral of the story is don't be a piece of shit. And maybe, just maybe, people won't feel as inclined to shoot you in the neck and have you bleeding out like a water faucet. Just saying. Bottom line, he was a waste of carbon, and the world is now a more beautiful place now that he has left it.
I don't feel sympathy for Charlie Kirk. I just don't. I don't feel sympathy for anyone who happily...
You're absolutely right, Zahara. JFK had young children. MLK had young children. Medgar Evers had young children. RFK had young children. Some of that, if you can go back and you look back on some of the magazines that was printed up at that time, on all those great figures, the death, you saw the young children. That mothers was holding them. Coretta holding her children with the black veil. Jackie Kennedy holding the hand of her young son at that time, as they laid their father to rest. So miss me with he had children. He had young children. Medgar Evers had young children. As a matter of fact, he was gunned down in front of his children, in his home, at his home, in his driveway. So miss me with that. You're absolutely right.
uses their large platform and influence to manufacture consent for the genocide in Gaza. One bullet hit that man 355 hit Hindra job, and Charlie Kirk still defended Israel. When Palestinians were being torn apart in the hundreds by bullets trying to get a bag of flour for their family after being forcibly starved to the point of desperation, Charlie Kirk still defended Israel. There was a time when he said that there was no such thing as a Palestinian at all. So no, I don't feel sympathy for this. I just don't.
Wait, sorry, are people actually feeling sorry for Charlie Kirk? The guy who made a career out of despising anyone that wasn't straight, white and male and encouraging other people to do what he was doing? I mean, look, feel free to feel empathy for him, but this is what the guy you're mourning thought about that.
I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but...
You know what else does damage, Charlie? No, we shouldn't go there. I mean, that being said, this is what Charlie said about people who lose their lives to guns in America.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal.
Yeah, that one worked out for him, didn't it? Look, spare us the faux sympathy and outrage that people aren't feeling remorseful that Charlie Kirk is no longer alive. He was evil. Charlie Kirk was pure evil, and the world is a better place without people like Charlie Kirk in it. And you can boo me for saying that, but deep down, you know that I'm right.
Hey fam, so let's keep this real. So when news broke that Charlie Kirk wasn't alive, the internet exploded. Some people were shocked, others were quiet, but a whole lot of people, not just from the black community, not just from the LGBT community, but even some white folks, okay, I said some, were celebrating. And you know what? I can understand why. I'm beginning to understand why. It's not about cheering for death just for the sake of it, but about feeling like a weight has been lifted. I mean, my guess is this is how people are feeling right now, because for years, Charlie Kirk wasn't just speaking his mind, he was pouring gasoline on fire.
And she's absolutely right. He was not speaking his mind. He was pouring gasoline on the fire. Charlie Kirk was a staunch supporter of white supremacy. You can say what you want to. Now, my opinion about Charlie Kirk doesn't matter. Whether Charlie Kirk was a good man, we can all see that he wasn't. Good men don't speak like that. Now, did he deserve to die that way? No man, no woman know the hour. No man, no woman know the way that death is going to come and get them. But again, if you're a Christian, as these folks say that they are, it tells you in the Bible. You speak something into existence. We just heard several instances of Charlie Kirk speaking his demise into existence. Again, I don't know the exact passage of the Bible, but somewhere in it says, be good to your neighbors. Somewhere in this so-called this Christian Bible that he says, because someone asked him, how would you want to be remembered? And he said he wanted to be remembered by his faith. Or anyone that thinks like Charlie Kirk, it says if you want to be remembered by your faith, and your faith leads you to disparage someone else, your faith leads you to see someone in need and don't do anything, your faith leads you to disparage someone because they are a different color from you or because they're not on the same financial level as you, then you don't have faith. And that's the worst kind of person. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's about time for me to get on up out of here. Again, what happened to Charlie Kirk was unfortunate. But it happens every day. Today is Friday. In your local town right now, I guarantee you can find out that someone lost their life today doing absolutely nothing. And you could attribute it to gun violence. Not accidental gun violence, but intentional. We see Trump throwing the National Guard into the streets of Chicago as his next target. DC, Los Angeles. Who's next? But one more thing before I do go. I got to speak on just one thing. The internet was ablaze this week of a content creator that took a donation from someone to block someone off their channel. The content creator decided that they didn't want to be forthright and got caught trying to scam someone. I'm not going to call his name, but I'm just going to use that as his way out the door. Y'all know some of these folks mean you no harm. You know they mean you no good. But yet night after night, you're over there giving them your hard-earned money. And then you turn around and ask, how could someone like a Charlie Kirk exist? Well, Charlie Kirk exists because somebody built him. The same way some of these content creators exist because y'all build them. Jay Prince, I don't care if you block me. I heard a white guy over there today calling you everything except child of God. If y'all want to listen to it, go over there to Nidus channel. Listen how the white guy was talking to him. A couple of weeks ago, he was praising the white guy. But listen how that white guy was talking to him today. Thank you for the super chat there, Miss J. Lynn. Thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all get on over there. Y'all check them out. Like I said, there's a right way and a wrong way to do something. It's easy to have discord. But when someone is blatantly disrespecting you, someone is blatantly disrespecting your culture, disrespecting your people, and you still have them on your platform, Jay Prince, and anyone else who does that, you got what you asked for. In closing, again, I hate what happened to Charlie Kirk, but Charlie Kirk brought that shit on himself. He really did. You can't go around life hating people and think nothing bad is going to happen to you, because eventually it will. It says that in the Bible too. With that, ladies and gentlemen, next time I'm on air will be, Sunday night at 8 p.m. at the Music Cafe. I play music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and some great music from today. The link's down in the description. If you want to see all of these clips that I use tonight in their entirety, I put the links down there as well. Again, watch your 3, your 6, your 9. As I say on my radio station, ladies and gentlemen, say hello to someone. Might change the way they're thinking, might change the way they're living. You never know. If you walk past them and don't say hello. Y'all have a good night. Thank you, Lana. Thank you, Shore. Thank you, Miss J. Lynn. Let me see who else in here. Let me make sure I say thanks to everybody. Black Hawk, I saw you peeking in. Thank you so very much. Who else came in here? Zahara, thank you so very much. Boom, thank you so very much. Who else came in? Rogue C, thank you for dropping through. Mella, thank you for dropping in. And for those folks that I can't see, I thank y'all so very much. Again, if you don't leave me a comment, that's fine. But if you leave me a nastygram, sure, what I'm gonna do? Send them one back, ain't it? I'll see y'all Sunday night, 8 p.m. at the Music Cafe, Classic R&B Jams. Till then, have a good one. We out.
Look, all you motherfuckers been snitching for him and shit. Now you standing up in here and goddamn it talking about preacher. Fuck that nigga. Fuck that. I'm gonna shoot your ass too, motherfucker. Keep going. You gonna get shot too, nigga. You gonna get shot. God bless the fool, goddammit. God bless the fool. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm gonna end this goddamn thing. Look, where's that goddamn money bowl at? Who got that money bowl? We taking that money right now before you leave this bitch. We ain't leaving out here for free, motherfucker. Yeah. Y'all know the motherfucker ain't no good. You want, look,